Okay.
Yeah.
You don't talk at the start.
Thanks.
I haven't thought about your intro yet. I'll come with it. I'll come up with it. Okay, guys. Thank you for joining us. This is the very first episode of Site to Studio. Super excited to be here. Been thinking about this for a very long time. Won't talk about why we're doing it because there'll only be 20 people listening to the first episode anyway. Hey, don't talk. No noise yet. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce our very first guest. He is, first of all, my landlord. These are his ends, a space which I'm renting. He is an architectural builder. He is a very good architectural builder. He was Master Builder of the Year at 29 years old, just a few years ago. He is the very talented David Tankovich of Imperial Builders.
Thank you, Charlie.
Hi, David. How are you?
Good.
Are you doing well today?
I've seen you about 17 times today, but that's okay.
Does it annoy you that I go into your office a lot?
I've asked you to use your own entrance, which you've failed to do thus far.
The entrance is broken.
Okay. We should fix that then.
We should fix the lock.
No, this is pretty, I never thought in my years as a builder I'd be a part of a podcast.
You're not a part of this podcast. It's my podcast. You're just a guest on the show.
I thought we were doing this together.
I asked you many times that we should do it together, but you don't want to be a part of it.
Well, let's see how this one goes.
How's your day been?
Fridays are good.
Fires don't happen on Friday?
Fridays are good. It is
Okay.
good.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
So this podcast is called Site to Studio.
Mm-hmm.
Were you on site today?
Yes.
Where were you?
Cremorne Cremorne, Richmond.
What were you building there?
We're doing 6 townhouses, high-end townhouses in Cremorne. So after a few little complications, we've got some good momentum. So I'm watching there's 3 lift shaft steel structures going up today.
Lifts.
Lifts.
Do you like lifts in your
Um,
builds?
apart from the costs and the lead times, they're pretty relatively straightforward. Yeah,
Cool.
they're not too bad. Yeah.
So a big focus on this show is, for me, is I don't want to make it too formal, informative, dry.
Dry?
We want to learn about you because you're interesting.
Am I?
I haven't asked you any of these questions.
You've asked me about my day.
Tell us about where'd you grow up? How was your childhood? How was the come up?
The what?
The come up.
The come up. Childhood was fun, adventurous. Always surrounded by most of the people in my life have made things, so to speak. My grandfather was a carpenter, joiner, furniture maker, all around Croatian guru. Father is he was a fitter and turner by trade, so metal, steelwork, machinery. Worked at one company for almost 40 years. Loyal, hardworking, and from a young age, we were doing things. We were always doing things at our house or whatever, chopping down trees, pulling cars apart, building things, trying not to get ourselves injured, pulling engines out of cars, etc., etc. So always hands-on. Used to love going to the tip for some reason.
Which one did you go to?
I reckon it was in Clayton somewhere.
Clayton,
awesome.
yeah, it's
I used
Clayton one.
for some reason, I used to love it. Used to love it. You know, it's when back in the day when kids could jump out of cars and help, like just wander around and do things.
Kids can't jump out the car and help at tips anymore.
Really? Those days are gone.
So there's a health and safety officer
Correct.
in case your kids fall in
Correct.
and they drive over them.
Correct. Yep. And funnily enough, because my father he likes to procure items. One man's trash is another man's treasure. is a good good sort of undertone to how he exists. Would always seem to come back from the tip with stuff.
Ah.
Right.
So where'd you go to school?
I went to St. Kevin's.
Oh, you're one of them.
Yeah.
How was that?
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yep.
You still in touch with many of your friends
Absolutely.
from high school?
Absolutely.
And so
And some of the subcontractors are one in particular is an old boy of St. Kevin's,
right.
who has an office up the road or a showroom up the road as well.
So you always pay him on time?
He always wants a hefty deposit, yeah.
Okay. Sounds like me.
Correct, yeah.
So what were the influences in your life that really led you to becoming a builder? How did that all happen?
Stumbled across it really, because when you go to like a school like we did back in that time, like a trade or a, being, it was more a university degree in construction management or, that the university. Well,
Keep it close.
it's like in my face.
You're wobbling. Sorry, keep going.
Sorry. You're always sort of supposed pushed to that university degree type
Route.
Yeah. But I know I wouldn't say I wasn't an academic, so to speak, but I liked going to school. Finished school and then did a diploma in building, and then started working for a builder, sort of labouring and mucking around. And I didn't think I would enjoy the site sort of stuff, but actually did enjoy it. And then just took it from there, yeah. So reasonably, it wasn't like a focused thing to be a builder. And back, and the game's changed for as long as I've been in it. I remember when we were sort of first started in Imperial, like a big job was $1 million. Like that was like,
Like in the market?
in the market was huge. Like $1 million, huge.
Whoa. Is that including GST?
Probably. Yeah. But, and like that, and then, in what, for, 12 years, stop it. In 12 years,
It's not for me, it's for the audience.
a medium-sized job is $1 million plus now. So the scale has changed, yeah.
So you started out labouring after you finished up uni?
Yep.
I mean, finished up wherever you went,
Yep.
got your diploma.
Yeah.
And where then from there?
Started working with the carpenter Craig, and he's just like, you're pretty reasonably handy. I said, I've been kicking around with tools since I was, quite young. So just started working with him.
And then from carpentry, were you working on the types of projects that you're working on now?
Yeah, similar. Yeah, similar in smaller and larger scales, but yeah, always in that sort of, like when you look back at now, those projects you're working in sort of early 2000s were architectural, but not architectural as we know it now. But yeah, always sort of high end, higher endish.
So it traces back from the type of work that you're doing.
Yeah, but
along the same.
As I said, but the game has changed, hugely.
Right.
In that time frame.
Yeah, I think that's something that we should get into, which is how the game has changed. But let's sort of bring us to now. So how did we go from working labourer, carpenter, to Master Builder of the Year at 29? Which he didn't. You weren't actually 29. That's just a joke. Don't get mad, everyone. How did we go from carpenter to now?
So I started Imperial with a friend of mine at the time, Ben, and we just basically, our first job was like a bathroom renovation in South Yarra. So it was like the nucleus of the first job, so to speak. And it just naturally progressed, from there. In when you're young, you're keen to, you take on what's presented in front of you, more so than what you don't go looking for it. So every opportunity that came along, we're trying to we're pretty much having a go at. So, yeah, that's sort of how it sort of just kept on building scale. Yeah.
And then was there a moment where you got a job, or there was a moment in time in the business where you thought, shit, it's really ramped up a level here?
Well, from that first bathroom renovation, it was actually for an architect. It was in his house. Someone in the same street wandered down and said, "Oh, you know, what are you guys doing?" So we're just, you know, we're renovating this bathroom, you know, et cetera, et cetera. He said, "Oh, I've got an owner-builder renovation I'm about to start in a couple of months up the road. Would you guys be interested in being involved in it?" From, you know, we said, "Sure, let's, you know, we'll come and have a look." So then we basically we managed that build for him, did the carpentry, helped him coordinate trades. You know, and that was sort of forget the timelines from, you know, now, but, you know, it's like 6 to 8 months worth of work working with him, you know, from demolition to the final stages. So, you know, that was probably the first sort of inkling into the holistic build sort of process. You know, it was enjoyable. It was good. It was good fun. And you're sort of learning along the way without, I suppose, the risk element of being the builder. But we had a really good insight into it, and enjoyed it, and got, you know, and sort of that rewarding process started from there.
Yeah. So tell us, what is architectural building? What makes an architectural
generally involves an architect.
For the types of projects you work on, the market, we call it architectural work. Architects work on...
Charley, it involves an architect. That's architectural building.
That's it.
Yep.
So it's not defined by the fancy stuff or the... You know, what?
What's the question?
I think Daniel said it in a way that I've never heard before the other day.
Yep. You're a coordinator. That's what you are.
He probably learned it from you.
Did he? Yeah.
But he said architectural building is like building a prototype every time for every project. It's something that's never been done before, never been built before.
Pretty much, yeah.
And
well, they're prototypes. Absolutely, yeah.
Materials, methodologies that aren't normally used in 98% of other projects that are being carried out.
Good call, Daniel. Yep, that's it.
Good call.
Yeah. Good call.
So,
I mean, we've done interesting projects along the way. We did one in 2012. That was on Grand Designs Australia. And I think at the time you thought it was crazily intense, complicated, difficult.
Yeah.
And always constantly keeping you on your toes. The design to execute, but actually upon reflection, it wasn't that difficult. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does,
but when you're in the moment, you're thinking, this is, you know, is this the most difficult thing to build in the world? But then when you get to the end, you're reflecting. When you're reflecting on it, it probably wasn't as bad as what you thought it was, and that's probably been most of the projects.
Well, I definitely feel that way about the types of joinery work that I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I'm so inexperienced,
a lot of it's boxes.
It's just white boxes.
Just screwing them together.
Just white boxes.
Yeah.
But no, you make a great point, because you do, when I interact with you, I do notice that everything is simple. Everything is not as complicated as it needs to be.
Yeah, well, I've trained myself to think that way, to simplify it, and it's not that complicated, because I've always said to anyone, the principles of construction don't change, whether you're building a cubby house or a complex architectural build.
I thought all builds are architectural.
No, I'm giving you the parameters here.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that the principles don't change.
Yeah.
The basic building principles don't change.
Yeah.
Just the scale and the complexity of that change. But I've also been, you know, we've also had some amazing people work for us and been, you both like from a carpentry sense and also from a subcontractor sense, like some really talented people that care and want to produce good work. And that always, is obviously the key to executing these projects and these jobs and these builds well.
Yep.
Is to have, there's no secret in, the best way to run a business is to have people that are better than you doing the work.
And so how do you attract those people? How do you make it work?
A lot of it's by chance and just the people you come across in your journey. But yeah, there's I'd say a pretty important mentor, if you can say mentor, who used to work for us, Craig, who was an absolute an amazing carpenter. But he wasn't amazing because he just had such a good balance of understanding what he was building. So he understood structures really, really well, but he had a really good understanding of other trades and how they have to interact. But he also did it really, really efficiently and quickly and of a high quality and standard. So, and he taught, even though he was working for us, he taught me a lot of, tricks and skills, and how to really interpret the architectural drawings.
Yeah.
To make the build process as easy as possible.
Yeah.
Very good. Amongst others, but that's one that stands out.
What's he doing now?
He's just working all over the place doing his carpentry bits and pieces everywhere. And he was the main sort of on-site driver at the Hampton House for Grand Designs.
Yeah.
He was in his element there.
Are you freezing?
I'm cold. You told me to turn the heater off.
We can't turn the heater on. It's for the audience.
Okay.
Believe you're
Let's
warm.
fix that.
Oh, it's still on.
This is the first one.
It's all right.
We're going to talk about you.
Why are we going to talk about me? What do you want to know?
I sort of know. I know about you. But
Yeah.
are we supposed to be talking about you?
No.
Why not?
Unless it's something you want to know about me that you don't know and you're interested.
Well, I think we'll just organically. I'll if I think of a question, I'll let you know.
I posted on Instagram that you're coming on.
Yep.
And for people to ask questions.
Yep.
I asked you to share it and you didn't share it. I asked twice. Okay.
I was busy. Can I look at the questions?
No.
Shouldn't I have my own screen as well?
No.
Isn't that how it works?
Is
this budget?
This is budget as.
Yep.
So we're going to get to some of those questions now. I'm going to ask you them. What do you get?
One of those.
Hey. Social distancing. Okay. First one, Sami Ibrahimi asks, what are some tips on having client work finished on time? I think what he means is how do you finish work on time?
Oh, it's the hardest. That's the hardest thing. That is the hardest thing.
It's not the best worded question. Sorry, Sammy. But just what's something that you think people perhaps don't focus on that they should in terms of getting things done on time? Builds, let's say.
What, from a builder's point of view?
Yeah, from a builder's
client's
standpoint, from an architectural building standpoint.
You're talking from when you're sort of first start looking at the project?
Just how do you finish it on time?
That's the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing to do is sticking to a program on a particularly on residential construction when it's quite an emotive experience. Well, you're dealing with someone's house and probably the most
Biggest purchase.
biggest purchase and investment in their lives. And I think there's a lot of pressure, even if there is good architects involved. There's a lot of sort of pressure from those clients because everyone knows when they're doing a renovation or building a new house, that's all they ever want to talk about.
Yeah.
Is getting it right.
So getting it done on time sort of takes a secondary.
I mean, we've adapted our processes to make sure that people understand that certain decisions and changes and issues will affect the time frame of the project. But yeah, when you say that word architectural, you go into these projects on the understanding that pretty much anything you need to source for that project, except for items that you buy from your main timber suppliers, is a 12-week lead time.
Right.
So your flooring, your tiles, your tapware, your carpet.
So can we infer that your tip for finishing architectural builds on time is to plan ahead and look at your lead times?
100%.
Next question.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, base everything off a minimum 12-week lead time.
Okay.
Plus COVID-19 associated issues.
Okay.
And don't buy anything from Italy if you can avoid it.
Peter Wells, a cabinet maker, asks, if a trade or supplier wanted to work with a builder, but the builder already has a trade or supplier that they're happy with, how could that trade go about securing that work? Pretty much how to get in with the builder who already has a reliable supplier.
Well, first of all, you got to make contact and let that builder know what type of work you do, and identify with that builder similar works that they've done in the past that's similar to the typology of work that builder that you're trying to get engaged with does.
Yep.
But I think, one of the transitional shifts that we've done over the last 4 or 5 years is to have a bit more spread on trades. So you've got options, because you talk about time frames and things moving and things pushing out into the time frame. The cabinet maker that you had lined up for that project, you may have a delay on site for 2 months for a numerous number of reasons, and then the start of the job you've identified. For example, you want Plot to do your joinery. There's a delay of 2 months, and now that doesn't fit into Plot schedule. The work that you'd previously organised to do.
Yeah,
so you need to be able to, what's the word of 2020 for businesses? You've got to pivot. You've got to pivot and have another plot ready to go.
Yeah.
So,
so I guess what you've identified is that you've made a business decision to not rely on any 1, 2, 3 trades. However, so not just to make sure that you have a contingency plan in the form of. Because
it doesn't matter what happens, the job still needs to roll on. Does that make sense? So
how does that help Peter? How does that help Peter get in?
Well, I think
with
just
Imperial?
he needs to be just keep on trying, keep on putting yourself out there. I know with us, we definitely invite new trades to, basically they might ring or something like that, but send us an email, tell us what you do, what you're about, what sort of projects you work before, what sort of projects you worked on before, what scale. If you're a metal fabricator, can you do stainless? Can you do aluminium, or are you just structural? We want to know these things so that we can put you in our database, so to speak, so that if an opportunity comes up, we can find you, and we know that you're a steel fabricator that can do stainless steel work, aluminium work. They can do all these other components of their business that they can undertake.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So, but I think am I really answering the question? Probably
You're,
not. But
what
I'm saying is you need to give that person the confidence that they should approach you when the time comes to look for a new cabinet maker.
Yeah.
And just keep on. It's almost like real estate. Just keep on touching base.
Building social proof.
Huh?
Don't worry.
Like a real estate agent always they ring up and they touch base with you to see how you're going and things like that.
Doesn't it make you never want to talk to them ever
but
again?
You
do it in a way that's
yeah. But just keep that contact going, and like anything, you need to be ready for the opportunity. So if Imperial Builders emails you and invites you to a tender, tender it. Like that's the best way to. That's the best way to get your foot in the door, so to speak, is to provide, tender that project that you've been invited to, because you never know where that lead may come.
Yeah. I think what I'll say on that is the world is abundant.
Yeah, I mean, you do that with us.
Why chase a builder who doesn't want to give you work? The world is abundant.
Yep. I mean, that's probably potentially a downfall of the industry in the last 10 years, is that there is a lot of work out there, so it hasn't been too difficult to find it.
Yeah. No, you do make a good point. You were, for me, it was surprising that how open you were to using new tradespeople, and the fact that we got in touch, despite you. I'm sure it was very apparent to you that I was inexperienced and very fresh, very young.
I like the confidence that you were displaying, and you communicated. Yeah, you were open and communicated. So I knew what I was looking at pretty much straight away, which is good.
Managing expectations.
Yeah, but then obviously a rich history in your family of doing what you do also gives someone like me confidence that that it's been in your DNA for a long time.
Yeah.
So, is that getting too deep?
No, we love deep.
Yeah.
Some of these questions are stupid.
Is one from Daniel?
There isn't one from Daniel, but there is one from a lovely young lady called Dani Elthrapos. Dani Elthrapos. She's asked, what's the best part about being a builder?
2 o'clock on a Friday.
2 o'clock on a Friday.
Yep.
Because the weekend's coming.
Yep. And all your problems are almost over for the week.
So the best part about being a builder is escaping. is the escapism.
2 o'clock on a Friday. Yep. Nothing bad ever happens after 2 o'clock on a Friday.
Nothing.
No.
I've got another question here that's along the lines.
Do you want me to tell you that? Do you want me to tell you the real story? It's just working with great like-minded people who have the same goal of achieving great things.
That's the most bullshit generic thing I've ever heard anyone say. All right, now that you're a little bit more comfortable and you're zipped up.
It is a highly rewarding industry.
Okay. All right.
Because once it's built, it's built.
Okay. Let's move on a little bit.
Hey, I want to back over that.
No. We're not. Next one.
Yep.
Okay.
Is this a question from Charley Li?
Let's help the tradespeople out there. You've told us, you haven't really told us much about how to get work with builders. How do you perform? What are some things that tradespeople should do?
Well, I'd give you a tip. Don't use the yellow pages, because the yellow pages are archaic and don't exist anymore.
Okay, fantastic. What are some things that tradespeople do that really piss you off?
Where are you going? Site cleanliness is just the most frustrating thing of all time.
Site cleanliness.
Yep. Not cleaning up after themselves is amazingly frustrating.
That's the tamest rant I've ever heard you say about tradespeople.
Just trying to keep calm. Just trying to keep calm.
What about the ones that...
There's a bin within 2 meters of you, but it has to end up on the floor. Seems logical, doesn't it?
Tradespeople always complain about not getting paid on time.
Yep.
What's with that?
What do you mean?
Is it true? Why does it happen? What are your thoughts?
It's probably one of the most interesting component of the whole building process. Is trying to get everyone on the same page, and trying to get tradesmen to understand how a builder needs a payment system to work, essentially. Yeah.
So the tradespeople need to understand that the builder is under immense cash flow risk. No, under cash flow, or they have certain cash flow.
Oh, there's a system in place for which the builders get paid, and most of the time that system is like the mechanism to get paid in terms of what the quantum is per month or whatever you want to call it.
Work done. Work done.
Work done. Progress complete is out of we're not. It's being assessed by third parties, so we're not in control of how much we're getting paid per month. Does that make sense?
What about on a more macro level? Is that always what's happening? That tradespeople don't understand, or their expectations aren't being managed well enough about how builders' cash flows work? Is that why people don't get paid on time on a macro?
You got to define what paid on time is, like
just per the terms.
But a lot of our discussions are based on understanding what the terms mean.
Yeah,
like 30 days in a month, 30 days for mid-month, 30 days, 14 days. It's all an educational process, as well to make sure everyone understands what that terminology means. Because I think sometimes that gets a little bit clouded and misunderstood. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah. But I think it's everyone's. It's definitely in everyone's interest for the builder to pay as much as it's humanly possible on time. But I think a frustration potential of most builders is that the emphasis is not that what I've been thinking about.
Just let it out.
What I've been thinking about is what frustrates me is that in terms of payments is that the two things that the subcontractor and the builder want are the same. So the builder wants the service, the product, the labour, the material, the program,
the work done,
the clean up, the rectification of defects, the coming back to fix issues, and the subcontractor wants to get paid on time, and those two things are equal. So what the builder wants versus what the subcontractor wants in terms of payments, they're equal. So, as an example, if a subcontractor says, "Yeah, mate, sorry, I forgot to put you into the diary. I can't get there for 3 weeks," even though you've done your due diligence and try and schedule them in, etc., etc. But if the builder then turns around and says, "Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot to schedule your payment into the diary. I can't pay you for 3 weeks."
Oh, hell.
Yeah, they're not treated the same. The money owed far outweighs an issue like that. But I think those two things are very, very similar.
So what you're talking about is, in the subcontractor community, people say builders don't pay on time. From a builder's perspective, I think it's also fair to say that tradespeople give shit service.
Well, I didn't say that specifically,
but it's equal. But I'm saying it is an equal statement.
I think the two need to be treated equally, and I don't think they are. That is what I'm saying.
So quality of service, delivery of work, materials as promised is the same is equal to getting paid.
Yeah. Well, a builder's not making any money unless you're building. You're getting paid to build. If you're not building, you're not generating. The project's not generating money.
Yeah. That makes sense. You made an interesting comment about this space. So just a little bit of background for everyone. This is David's factory. This is a space.
It's Imperial space.
It's Imperial's warehouse, factory, office. And this is a space that I'm renting.
Yep.
From David, the landlord, Imperial, the landlord. And David was saying something about how we were able to design this space and build it out however we wanted to. And I felt like he was trying to say it was almost liberating in a sense because you're not bound by an architect or something like this.
Me?
Yeah, I thought that's what you said, isn't it?
Did I?
Yeah, you said it's a beautiful thing. You know, we design it ourselves. It's a beautiful thing.
Did I? Yeah, I might have been. Did I say that?
Well, I guess I sort of resonated with it because you're building all the time what your client wants, what your architect wants. So it's
also,
cool.
yeah, you're exposed to a lot of different designs and designers, which all have their own idiosyncrasies.
Mm.
But it's good. You can do what you want here.
Yeah.
And you're a cabinet maker, so you can make cabinets.
I'm bad at making cabinets. The people I work with are good.
Should I be concerned?
No.
Okay.
Because I was very clear about...
You put those fronts on, didn't you?
I screwed the carcasses in and I leveled the kicker and put the carcasses in and put the fronts on.
Yeah. But I can't plumb. I'm not an electrician. I'm not a roof plumber. I'm not an excavator driver.
You asked me if you should be worried or not. I understand you.
I can do elements of plumbing. I can probably do elements of electrical. I can I can do basic excavation.
Yeah.
But no. So that doesn't mean anything, does it? You're managing the process.
Yeah. So you what you do is difficult.
We're coordinators.
It's stressful.
The building side of it is the easy bit. The bricks and mortar of it is the easy bit.
What is it that's difficult?
The running the whole thing.
The people?
Yeah. Well, just running the whole thing. If it's just if your issues in the day are building related issues, that's the easy bit. It's the business side of it. It's the scheduling, the communication, the follow up.
Yeah.
That's the fundamentally the more challenging aspects of it.
So builders are notorious for running out of money and going out of business. Yep. Why is that? Why does it happen so frequently?
Because it's quite easy to do.
It's quite easy to get into?
Well, it's quite easy to run out of money.
Ah. Why is that? Is it the low profit margins, poor cash flow, the way the contracts are set up?
All of the above. Not understanding what your budgets are, not understanding what your expenditure is on each element to your build. Not having a key understanding of what those figures are is the biggest issue, because you can have a lot of money coming through your business per month.
Yeah.
But it's like, how have you got that money, and then how do you spend? How you then spending that money essentially, and where is it going to? And if that gets out of control, she's not good. It's not good. But I think the biggest risk in architectural building is carpentry, labour, as in the mainstays and the driving force behind each architectural project or project of the nature we're involved in is the carpentry labour.
As in that cost factor can blow out very easily.
It's very expensive. And carpenters do a lot more than just carpentry on the build. So they're utilised fairly extensively, and they're almost from day one of the project to the final seconds of the project, carpenters are involved. So
carpenters billing $60, $70 an hour for their time is what really adds up. So you think that is a really important cost component that people should look out for?
100%, yeah, 100%. If you think it's going to take X amount of time, I can almost guarantee it's double that.
Do you employ carpenters?
Yes.
Is that very important for the type of work you do?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. And key mistakes can be made in its infancy from bad carpentry work.
Yeah.
It's a follow-on effect that will cripple the project.
Yeah.
If it's not found out at an early stage.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people who want to get into building. There's a lot of people who want to get into architectural building. Is that fair to say?
I'm not sure.
Okay. What would you say to those people?
It's a personality check before you do anything. If you can't handle losing money, if you can't handle then making money, if you can't handle working long hours, if you don't think you can handle stressful decision making, coming at you from different angles at different times. If you're not a good people person, you'll struggle. I think. It's challenging. You need to have a really level-headed, sort of confident but calm personality to be able to deal with it. Otherwise, you would go insane.
So you just need to be like you.
Well, I don't think I'll get rattled too often.
Yeah.
Because whatever it is, they're problems that can be genuinely solved. It's all about diagnosing what the problem is as quick as you can.
Yeah.
And acting on the issue, or problem, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
As quick as you can, but you're not going to do that if you're not level-headed.
Yeah.
Because you'll probably end up making the second decision that you make. It will end up be the wrong one as well.
Yeah.
So it's a day of constant decisions.
Picking the right ones.
Yep.
So what's next for Imperial?
We're moving into sort of we've been doing it for a while, but moving to the, I suppose, architectural smaller to medium multi-residential space, as well as still doing your new houses and renovations, but having a bit more spread on typology of builds. So we've got some interesting projects on at the moment, which is exciting.
The multi-res architectural, is that for bigger contracts or more scalability or easier to build?
Well, they're generally less emotive because you're dealing with small player or medium player developers and things like that. So it's more of a business transaction rather than the emotional element of someone's home.
Yeah.
But there's still some cool designs out there that are coming through. So they're still interesting builds. They're not cookie cut, cookie cut projects.
Yep.
They're still got that architectural edge, and you're sort of bringing in skills that you learned doing the single residence, single dwelling renovations, working for a multitude of architects, and you're bringing in some of those skills into the multi-res sort of space as well. But also too, utilising your knowledge of different products and materials to then add value when you're trying to value manage the projects down from a budget point of view. You have good experience of trying to provide high-end architectural outcomes at a lower cost from your previous experiences on other projects and knowledge of other products that are on the market. So, yeah.
So taking on from what you've learnt doing,
and changing building processes slightly to make them more efficient. Cool.
I asked you a question yesterday.
You've got a good memory. Short-term memory.
I've got a terrible memory.
Do you?
Maybe I didn't ask you the question. You, I might be wrong, seemed perhaps a little stressed about something. Perhaps.
Me yesterday,
Perhaps.
potentially.
Potentially.
But I probably was smiling 5 seconds later, was I?
Allegedly, of
Yep.
course. And I said, well, why don't you just build 24 townhouses in Ringwood instead?
Yep. I love Ringwood. It's so beautiful. Where is Ringwood?
It's around Mount Waverley,
Yeah.
best suburb in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So that means that you like architectural work? You like the fancy stuff?
That's all I know.
Oh,
Yeah.
from
I- I
Brighton to St. Kevin's to architectural building.
That's all I know. So
That's it.
that's all. Yeah. And I think the subcontractor network that you built up to do these works would be different if you went down that path.
Totally different market.
Yeah.
Right. So was there anything else that you wanted to talk about to the people?
When are you going to put the when's your joinery desk or your joinery top?
That's a great reminder. Right.
Because didn't I help carry in Mark 1 of it?
Yeah. Well, it was Mark 1. It's a work in progress.
It's a prototype.
Yeah, it's architectural, baby.
Yep.
So originally we were going to start this podcast once this space was ready, fitted out. We've got a steel desk coming, steel floating shelves, steel top, a few little things. They all came, but they weren't quite ready, so we need to make a few revisions to that. The boys at Healy Metalworking are working hard on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was a wonderful blessing in disguise, an opportunity for us to start this podcast in this environment. The podcast is called Site to Studio, from construction site to studio. So I thought it was pretty poetic that we started the podcast on a construction site, and in a week or two episodes time, it turns into a studio.
Well, it's definitely bright lights and good times in here.
Is it too bright?
It's bright.
Is it too white? Is the color temperature too white?
Can't you change it on your phone or something?
Yeah, but my phone's there recording.
That's a problem.
Okay, we'll adjust it next time. It's the first episode.
Yeah, that's good. Good space. I think it's. You're obviously. All I've heard about is this podcast for the last 6 months.
6 months.
What did I say? What did I say when you asked me?
I like to fly under the radar.
And here I am. How did I get talked into this?
Because I said we're going to win you $4 million projects on this thing.
And you said you didn't have anyone else to talk to.
And I thought
You didn't have anyone else to talk to, did you?
I didn't. I thought
And a podcast has to involve 2 people.
no. I just thought it was a bit wanky if I did it myself. Like I'm essentially a kid just starting out in the industry who wants to make a show. Like it's.
Yeah, but-
I just thought it was
yeah,
a little bit
But
like
it's in your DNA, though. Don't forget.
that Northern Chinese blood.
No, the cabinet making's in your DNA.
Where do people?
When was the last? Can you remember the first time you saw an edge bander? Industry talk.
No, my dad didn't start the cabinet making business until 8-9 years ago.
Okay.
So it was stone. So
When was the first time you saw
a big
a piece of Caesar
big
stone?
saw cutting a massive block of stone
Yeah.
in northern China in my city I was born in. It was those big, I think they're called bridges. I don't know, the ones that cut the big blocks that you get out of the quarry.
Yeah.
I remember that.
How old were you?
4, 3.
Did it feel good when you saw it?
It was just the usual. Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah, stone was big in my childhood.
Right.
Just like, I'm sure Boris
Yeah.
showed you many things.
Yes. Yes and no. Yes and no. He does things a different way than me.
Yeah, David's father, Boris. One of the first things he told me when I met him the other weekend was how he got a steel beam from David's site 3 years ago. David said, "Throw it out. We don't need it. Throw it out." And he picks it out of the trailer and he stores it. 3 years later, David asks him for a steel beam and he whips it
I
out.
think that is factually incorrect.
Boris doesn't lie.
I think that is
He's your
factually
father.
correct.
David, where do people find you, follow you, get in touch with you?
Obviously got a website, so just Google Imperial Builders.
2020, baby. What's your Instagram?
At Imperial Builders.
Can they message you?
Absolutely they can. And I think Instagram's been it's a crazy phenomenon in our industry. Yeah, everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it.
Is everyone doing it well?
Oh, I think it's well, it's from a builder, it's a good insight to say it's a good insight to see what you do. So if I see Plot Joinery and I see the typology of work, the type of work, the scale of work, that's a pretty it's pretty intimate sort of understanding of what you're doing.
Yep.
As per 15 years ago, if you're Plot Joinery in the yellow pages, what do I know apart from a name and a phone number? Not much.
The logo's yellow.
Yeah.
So if you want to get in touch with David because you have a $4 million or more contract that you need to find a builder for, definitely let him know that you found him through this podcast. If it's less
is there a plot voucher for people that do that?
If it's less than,
do you get a $50 plot voucher?
You get a $5,000 plot voucher.
Really?
If it's less than $4 million, don't bother telling him. I don't get my year's free rent if the contract is less than $4 million.
Charlie, come on.
Including GST.
Did we sign something like that, did we?
Yes.
Right.
$4 million or more, get in touch with David. Say it was from Charlie.
Oh, that's not
No.
2 to 5.
Well, I don't have a vested interest.
Huh?
I don't have a vested interest in
Why?
that. I don't get the free rent.
You got an opportunity to the joinery.
Okay, tell him it was from me.
All right.
Thank you, guys. We're going to wrap it up.
Can I go do some work now?
Friday night's your time.
Yeah, it is.
Enjoy it. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Peace.